All right, I'm seriously over this 1250 project. I want it done and out of my way. So there's a few things we need to button up yet, namely air cleaner and charging system. And I think I've got something figured out for both. And we'll get started on that right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man. Oliver 1250. We converted the water pump, which I thought was going to be the worst part of this project. It kind of was, but it wasn't really as bad as I thought it could be. It seems to be working now after many trial and errors. But I gotta have me a place to mount my air cleaner, which normally was mounted on the adapter plate to the water pump. The original had a cast thing. I showed it in that one video, and it had 2 threaded holes in the top, and that was where your air cleaner mounted. So we don't have that with our adapter plate. Had we known that's what it was at the time, we probably would have made that onto this before we started, but you know, or while we were going. But not having that, we have to now overcome, and we can do that just fine. So what I want to do is make a removable piece that I can bolt to this plate. That's partially why I left it, you know, bigger, because I wasn't sure what we were going to get into. But I got a piece of angle iron here, and I'm going to have to cut it down a little bit so that it will fit in there better. Right now, that's about as far down as it'll go. And so if we go this way, I'll actually be able to get it down to that far. And that's what I want, just a slight gap between that plate and this. And that slight gap will be for the bolt heads that are going to hold the air cleaner on. You know, we get this figured out good, we can always bolt this to the air cleaner and then put the bolts in here. We'll figure it out. But I should have probably looked harder and got angle iron that was already shorter on one side than the other, but we've got cutting stuff. We can just cut this leg off and then that will be done. So our charging system, I've debated on what I could do to make this not obvious that, you know, it's obnoxiously hanging out here in the open like the other one was, because that's what this bracket was. It had the alternator bolted to it and it was hanging out in this area, and then it had a flat belt and what have you. I don't want to disturb this. I think that is enough. So I'm going to try to run it off of the power steering belt. We'll have to get a different belt obviously, but I'm going to use that bracket on the frame, and then I'm going to make a piece that comes straight up to hold this up here like such. We'll get a belt that goes around it, and then we'll tap into this bolt here with some type of adjuster so we can mount it solid on, or mount it where it's probably, we could probably get away with mounting it solid and just use this for adjustment, but since this is going to be kind of a not sure how it's going to work out type of deal, I'm probably going to use a slotted piece there so that I got a little bit of angle. I don't know that it's really going to gain me anything, but in conjunction with the other thing it might. So that's what we'll do, and then that way we got 3 things on each belt instead of 4 things on one. And then what I'm worried about is if I'd mounted and used this, I'm worried that I wouldn't have enough contact with the governor, you know, since the governor's on the back of this, and then we would have goofy governor action because it would slip sometimes. We don't want that, so we're gonna go with my other plan. So that also is important that we have this done first, so we know what our maximum room is that we have available for the bottom of the air cleaner to here. You know, I think we can go as high as this, but we'll start getting into that cup if we go too much. So that's very important as well, because that will tell us some things that we potentially need to know. So I would rather do the air cleaner first and get it mounted in there, and then we will go down the line and then do this, because I mean, we could even, if worst came to worst, we could probably even figure out a way to snake that underneath here and mount the thing in there if we had to, you know. I don't know that that would really work, but it would definitely be hidden. But I'm okay with this look. I mean, if I can make this go where, you know, it's not sticking out past the tractor, and average Joe is not going to have a clue that that's not the way it was supposed to be. So, and then other people said, well, just rebuild this generator. Well, it's 24 volt, and I don't want to deal with that. I got a 12 volt system going on here. If it had the original starter that was 24 volt, then I might pursue that. But somebody's already bought a replacement 12 volt starter, and the other one's too expensive to buy to put this back that way. So I'm not having that. So anyway, that's why we're doing what we're doing. And I'm gonna get started by cutting that off, and then I'll bring you back when we're ready to try our brand new Chinesium 3/8 drill. Because since I didn't do this ahead of time, or even like I said the other day, I should have done it while the water pump was off and didn't end up doing that. I just kind of figured that maybe with this I would have a chance of being able to get, you know, in there and drill through that plate in both places. It looks like it'll work, you know. So that's what I was operating under. Yeah, we'll be able to make a hole in there somewhere, and then we'll be able to do the same thing over the other side. We got plenty of room. We could have a square dance on that other side. It's just right here that's going to be the problem. So we will try that out here in a little bit, but step one's going to be trimming this down. All right, might have to get a shorter drill bit. This combination is still pretty long. See if I can sneak it in there somehow. I bet I'm gonna have trouble, and I bet it's gonna stem from stupidity. Well, a little. That'll work if a guy can get that done. I don't have enough air. Oh, what a mess I'm making. Let's keep it cleaned off whilst we're doing this. All we gotta do is get 2 holes drilled somehow. About through. Awesome. There's one. I'm gonna get a bolt. I'm gonna bolt that solid first, I think, before I do the other. Just to be sure it doesn't move any and cause me trouble. All right. This is going to be probably a struggle. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, usually are. Awesome! We dropped it to the ground. Awesome! I wouldn't even really have to bolt it tight right now. Just keep the thing in there so it doesn't move on me. We somehow managed to get that, but now we're going to do the other side and hope for similar results. Then when we're done, see, we have to take this all apart again and drill the holes for the top. Right now we're just in stage 1. Isn't it foolish to do something like this when we know that years from now somebody's just going to scrap this tractor because they don't care? And I spent all this time and effort to try to bring it back to life. Ooh. Okay, we gotta get ourselves some more room here. We have to be, well, this tack cable's got to go away for now. I can't see what I'm doing. It's just causing me trouble. If I get that up there, I wonder if I could come from this way. I bet I could. Do we want to do that, or do we want to struggle? We like to struggle. Struggle bus is our favorite. You know. So if I went like that, I think that's what we'll do. We'll struggle bus. Oh, woo! Struggle bus. A lot of work. All right. So temporarily, that is bolted in. I should probably bolt it in tight, because then I can get an accurate reading on my next part, which is bound to be an interesting struggle. I need a ratchet. I'm also going to have to leave, which is so much fun. I love it when that happens. But school bus time is nigh, and I don't have a choice. I'm not entirely sure that there. But what I'm saying is I'm not entirely sure that that's not bent. The bracket to the air cleaner. But see, I feel like right there is where it's gonna need to go. That's right in the center of what we got going on. Technically, I could drill this one right here, I believe, if I were to clamp that a little bit better, maybe. Yeah, it probably would go, at least to mark it. And then the other one, I could just mark with the marker. What do those look like? About 3/8 bolts? Well, I think we hit it just right. This is in the center pretty well of this hole. I think we'll be able to live with that. It's bolted nice to our plate. The only thing we're gonna have to probably do, and it's no biggie, is it's just clamped in this bracket, so we may loosen this and turn it so that this is more 90 degrees to here. I bought an elbow, a reducing hose elbow, from 2.5 to 1.5 inches. I'll have to trim it down to fit in there, but it's gonna need to be exactly 90 degrees. In other words, not off to the side. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I'll take this apart to probably paint it anyway, clean it up and get all the awful navy green off of it or whatever that is. And then when I put it back together, I'll just clock it the right way, and then we'll have that part done. So that's another piece of our puzzle. Now for the final piece, it's gonna be mini alternator time. And yes, I have debated just all different things of what I could do, and I don't know that I'm satisfied ever, but at some point you just got to try something, and that's where I'm at. I mean, I feel like as high as I can go, because it's probably going to end up clocked about like this. But if I would do that, I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter how it's clocked. But it would go up and over this one, and then around this one, back down. This one would be doing our tightening, and then this wouldn't even have to move. This could just be rigidly mounted, to be honest with you. So we're just gonna have to get our plate bolted down solid on the frame. We're gonna have to get our other piece made straight up, which is probably gonna look goofy, but hey, I'm more concerned about, at this point, functionality. But that will be in there, and it should work. Why wouldn't it, you know? Why wouldn't it? The only thing that's gonna be why it'd be nice to have it clocked out is if we want to get our oil cup off at some point. We'd have to make sure we had enough clearance that we could get that. But if we'd have to pop the belt off and fold this out of the way, that wouldn't be the most awful thing. It would just be kind of unhandy. But anyway, I will probably work on that tomorrow. That'll be just a few snap of the fingers for you, but yeah, I think I'm pretty well done fabricating tonight, but I can get this all what it needs to be tomorrow, and then I think we're good to go. You know, we got a couple wires we'll have to run to this. We'll have to look at the 77 and see how I did that, because I don't remember which plug hole does what, but you know, one needs to come on with the key, and that's the one that will make our light go out. But we're coming along. I mean, we're down to just about everything that's going to be functional here very, very shortly. And it all fits in there, and it looks cute. Somebody said, oh, aren't you documenting this so that the next owner knows all these modifications you did? Well, there's like 15 videos on this. If they can't search on the internet and see what I did, I don't know. He probably couldn't help them. Plus, I'll be dead anyway, so what's it matter? Somebody will figure that out, and they won't even care while they're hauling this to the scrapyard, because that's where most of my stuff will go when I'm gone. So, yeah. But we'll get working on that alternator bracket and bring you back in just a second. All right, it's the next day. I got this kind of mocked up. I think it'll work. I'm not necessarily in love with the presentation of it, but I recycled the bracket that the other guy made and then just put this up where it needed to be, and I think that's about our maximum And the more I think about it, I don't think that this needs to pivot at all. I think I can just make it where it's mounted solid and be done with it and do all my belt tightening with this, which consequently is at its maximum right now. So we're going to hope that that works that way. If it doesn't, we'll go back to the drawing board and figure something else out, but I think it will. I think that, you know, if this was in even more, then the very least they would be kind of straight up and down, but then you could always pull out on this one to get more tension on the belt, and there would still be adequate amount running in the groove, because it would be actually having to go downhill, so it will wrap around a good portion of it no matter what's happening. And the same way with this, you'll have enough, I think, to make this go. So that's what we're operating under. I mean, we're going to try it at least. What do we have to lose? So I need to make a bracket now that goes from this bolt up to here to hold it solid. And of course I carried off the thing that I was going to use. I was going to recycle the bracket that they had for that too. But you know me, I carry stuff off and forget where I put it. So I'll have to go grab that, make a mark, and then take it back and go cut it up and drill it or whatever I got to do. But fabrication takes a while, you know, trial, error, putting stuff on, taking stuff off, just to see what you got, you know. So, but I think if I go to this bolt head here, you know, that'd be a good place. It's not interfering. I'll have to put a zigzag in it, you know, come out and jog or whatever. It'll be fine, friends, is what I'm saying. But I'm gonna go get that piece and figure that out, and I'll bring you back whenever I got stuff done. But this is adequately solid for what it is. I mean, I think it'll be just fine. There's really no way anything can pivot inappropriately. Even if this comes loose, it's pretty well resting on there. If I like this, I may go ahead and weld this to this. I don't know. But anyway, this is a start, is what I'm saying. And we can always refine it later if we find something doesn't work, or find that we wish we'd do something differently. It'll be fine. All right, here we go. The product of recycling. Once all the bolts are tight, the bracket won't move, but I think it'll be solid. We'll be in good shape. It fits in there real cute. See, it doesn't stick out proud of the sheet metal. So, you know, hopefully that won't cause us any issue. The only other test now to do is, could a guy still get this cup loose with the setup? I think I'll be able to. It has no oil in it, so don't freak out. Just barely. It's not gonna let me do that. But technically, I could remedy that a couple ways. I do have a little room. I could slide that whole apparatus up a little bit, you know what I mean, in this clamp. I don't know that I'll mess with that though, because if you got to change the oil in that, it wouldn't be too hard to just pull this bracket off, or actually take this bolt out and probably fold the... It could be done. I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about functionality. And I think we're there. All we need to do now is figure out our belt size, and then clean up and paint all of our pieces, which are nasty and, you know, not anything special. If they're cleaned up and painted, you won't be able to tell as much that that's not, you know, anything that it should be. But I like this idea that we're not interfering with the original, and we're gonna run it off of here. And like I said, I think it's gonna work fine. We might prove otherwise later, but you know, this tractor probably isn't gonna get used a ton, and it's probably not gonna have such a draw on the alternator that it's going to be really hard to turn and make a big mess. I don't think so. So, yeah, it's coming along, and that's what I like. So, I suppose that I'll call this one here. I'll get this stuff cleaned up and painted and mounted in here for keeps. Then I will try to find a belt. That's going to be our next issue, is finding a belt that's long enough to do all of what we want to do. So, yeah, pretty cool. As always, if you enjoy my videos, give them a thumbs up. That helps out the channel, and it doesn't cost you anything. Leave a comment. Tell me that you liked it, or tell me that you hated it. Tell me I'm a moron. I really don't care, but anything that you say helps us out too. So, thank you again, as always, for watching, and I will see you in the next one.